All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, the great millstone who rule well, teach or where I learned this truth from. Peace, mercy, and blessings to the hopeful elect that believe on this truth and sincerity. It's your brother Yapa Khan, come back through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai from the GMS Cleveland branch. And Lord willing, this be edifying. As you can see, I titled this. This is a basically like a response, if you will, to the brother GMS Zariah Allah, the beloved brother. He recently did a video titled "Are You Willing to Sacrifice?" and I was just listening to that, and not only that, but the Elder Mwatazak out in LA, I believe he the head of the LA camp, he did a video titled "The Cost of Discipleship," which is, the two are parallel, because if you are willing to sacrifice, then that means you have counted the cost of being a disciple, and when you go into that word willing, it's basically without force, okay? And what are we sacrificing, willingly, without somebody having to force us, or our time and energy to serve the Lord, Let's go to Proverbs, book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and verse 1. It says, through desire a man having separated himself seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. The key thing is through desire, okay? To want to grow, to know certain breakdowns, to know the Hebrew. You gotta desire that, and that's what's gonna make you willing to sacrifice your time and energy, okay? Somebody is not gonna have to force you, so to speak. Oh, if you don't know this by this set time, this could happen to you. Okay, then at that point somebody is forcing you to do it. You didn't have that desire in you from the beginning, meaning you wasn't willing to sacrifice your time and energy. So let me read that again. Proverbs 18 and 1. Through desire, a man having separated himself seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. Okay, and the second part it says, having separated himself. Okay, meaning you was willing to, okay, you wanted to learn, you wanted to grow in the spirit, so you separated yourself from the things that was hindering you from growing, whether it was a woman, okay, whether it was a particular bad habit, too much folly, whatever it was, you separated from that because you had that desire in you. You was willing, okay, it says, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. Okay, you separated because you had that desire so that you could seek and intermeddle with all wisdom, But that's just on the lower scale, okay, because you got to be willing to sacrifice on a higher scale. Now let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 14. Start at verse verse 15. Okay, it says a great supper, and we know the great supper is being called into this truth, okay, and coming into this spiritual feast, being called to the marriage of the Lamb. It says, this Luke 14 and 15, and when one of them sat at meat with him, heard these things, he said unto him, blessed is he that shall eat bread in the kingdom of the Most High. Then said he unto him, a certain man made a great supper and bade many. And that certain man is speaking to Yahweh Shai, okay? And a lot of people came into the knowledge of knowing that they Israelites, and even more so trying to become teachers. Verse 17, and sent his servant at supper time to say to them that were bidden, come, for all things are now ready. And they all with one consent began to make excuse. Okay, so it was people who was invited to the supper start to make excuses. Reading on. It says, the first said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground, and I must needs go and see it. I pray thee have me excuse. So he wasn't willing to give up his time and energy into serving the Lord. Okay. Because you see, his excuse was that he had just bought some land. Okay, he had to give his time into energy into take care of that land, so to speak. Verse 19. And another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray thee have me excused. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. Okay, so you had those who was invited to the supper, but they wasn't willing to sacrifice the time and energy to actually partake in the supper. Sincerely, at least. Okay. To read on, it says, no, Salakia. Jumping down to verse 25, it says, the cost of discipleship. And there went great multitudes with him, and he turned and said unto them, if any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. Because reading up earlier in the chapter, you had those, they wasn't, because hate is basically to love less, okay, here in this context. So you had those who didn't love, okay, because it said their own life also, they didn't love the things that they had in their lives, whether it was that new piece of land that they had got, okay, the oxen, which is equated to wealth and riches, whether it was they woman, they didn't put Yahweh Bashim Yahushua before those things. So they was not willing to sacrifice, okay? And ultimately they wasn't worthy of being a disciple of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Salaki of Yahushua. Verse 27, and it says, and whosoever doth not bear his cross, we know bearing that cross is being willing to catch hell. Whatever situations, whatever trials or tribulations the Lord may put upon us in our walks, we got to bear it. Okay, endure hardness as a good soldier. And that word endure goes back to being made harder. We got to have thick skin. I think that's how the saying goes. We got to have thick skin. Okay, we can't let things break us. Okay, the things we go through, they either gonna make us or break us. But we want it to make us. That's why we pray to the Lord to strengthen us. Okay, so we can endure whatever it is he throws at us. But it says, and whosoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you intended to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it. Okay, it says, for which of you intended to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost. Okay, when you wake up, before you read, before you do a lesson, whatever you do throughout the day, you should be constantly counting the cost. Because here it is, we trying to build up the kingdom of heaven by preaching this word. And it's things that come with that. We know we're going to be persecuted for the word. We know people going to fall out. Some brothers going to be put to death. This is all a part of us sitting down and counting the cost, meditating on these things, considering the fact that we're going to be put in these situations. So it says, verse 29, less happily after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it began to mock him. So once you came into the truth, started teaching, doing videos, but then it got too hard and you stopped building, so to speak. Okay, whether it was because of persecution, your woman was getting on you for being around the brothers too much, whatever the reason may be, you stopped building. And then it said, all that behold it began to mock him. Next thing you know, you're getting mocked by the man of the Lord. Brothers might be doing videos on you. This is not what we want. We want to be willing to sacrifice whatever it is to follow after the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. Verse 30, it says, saying this man began to build and was not able to finish. And why was that man not able to finish? Because he wasn't willing to sacrifice. You know? But this is a part of the cost of the discipleship. And the title of this lesson is really, it's a self-examination type question, you know, and it applies to me first and foremost because I'm the one doing the video. Are you willing to sacrifice? I got to ask myself, am I willing to give up certain things, to put in overtime for the Lord? You know, seeing that it was, as it says in the book of Baruch, the 4th chapter, saying it as it was your mind to go astray from the Lord, now be in return, seek him 10 times more. Seeking him 10 times more that implies letting go of certain things in turn for reading, doing videos, fellowshipping with brothers. This is all a part of sacrificing. And this is the cost of discipleship. Let's go from there to the book of Luke, the 9th chapter. It says the high cost of discipleship. You see, the heading of the one in the 14th chapter says the cost of discipleship, but this says the high cost of discipleship. Luke 9:57. And it came to pass that as they went in the way, a certain man said unto him, Lord, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. So someone who came up to Yahushua said that he was going to follow him wherever he went. Verse 58, and Yahushua said unto him, foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man had not where to lay his head. So Yahushua was testing him, saying he don't have nowhere to sleep, so to speak. Verse 59. Salakia, let me read it again. It says, and Yahushua said unto him, foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. And that'll be a stumbling block for certain people. Okay, here it is, you following the anointed, the only begotten Son. Well, you come up to him and ask him, you tell him that you're gonna follow him, but then he tell you don't got nowhere to sleep. Some people will stop following him. Well, you don't got nowhere to sleep. Where I'm gonna sleep? But that's where faith comes in, because that's another thing too. For you to be willing to sacrifice, you gotta have faith. You know, you gotta have faith, and that's a masculine trait, a masculine characteristic. Characteristic is having faith. And the Elder Uriah, the beloved Elder Uriah out in Chicago, just did a recent video titled, "You Men of the Lord, let that soft effeminate shit go ASAP." You know, and one of the effeminate things is not having faith. The things we do should be because we got faith. Okay. It tells you in Romans the 14th chapter, whatsoever is not of faith is sin, roughly paraphrasing. Okay, if you doing something, if you go a day without having faith in how about Shem Yahushua, you going off. We going off, you know? But nonetheless, jump back to Luke chapter 9, verse 59. He said unto another, follow me. Okay, so he told one of the men to follow him. Reading on, but he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. So he came with an excuse. Hold on, I gotta go bury my father. Reading on, Yahushua said unto him, let the dead bury their dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of the Most High. Now, how will the dead bury the dead? Now it tells you, I think it's Proverbs the 21st chapter, he that wandereth out of the way to understand shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So the dead is speaking of those who not in the truth, who not in the know, who don't have the Holy Spirit to understand the truth. That's those who are dead, because it's gonna lead to them being put to death. So he's telling him to let your quote unquote family, let them deal with burying your father. Okay, you got opportunity to receive salvation at hand, so to speak. Okay, now it wasn't said to him like that, but we know that's what it was. An opportunity to seek to get salvation, which is by coming into this truth, preaching his word. Verse 60, Yahushua said unto him, I'm gonna read it again. It says, let the dead bury the dead, but go down and preach the kingdom of the Most High. You see, he had bigger things to worry about, which was preaching the word. Verse 60, and another also said, Lord, I will follow thee, but let me first go bid them farewell which are at home at my house. Okay, so another also said, another came up to him saying he was going to follow Yahushua, but he had an excuse. I got to go back and tell my peoples I'm leaving. Verse 62, and Yahushua said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow. Okay, you putting in the work, you sowing the seeds. You on the highways and byways doing videos. No man having put his hand to the plow and looking back, but you considering how things could be if you was still in the world, if you still got a chance to prosper in the world, how you can have all the hoes, so to speak, how you can be getting this amount of money and driving this type of car and things like that. That's looking back. After you already been doing the work, that's looking back. And guess what? Read on. It's fit for the kingdom of the Most High. Because ultimately, if you still consider how good things, quote unquote, how good things could be, you very well might not be willing to sacrifice. Okay? You rather try to make up for the time lost, so to speak. You trying to go out, giving time to your just to anything outside of serving the Lord, because you're not. It's like I just lost my train of thought. It's like I'm battling this cold, but nonetheless, if you looking back, you're not willing to. So like that's what I'm saying. If you looking back, you may not be willing to just serve the Lord fervently. Okay, the scriptures speak about being fervent, which is being on fire, studying every day. Whether it be the scriptures, the Lashawan, Kodash, whatever it is to help you grow in the spirit, trying to grow every day. It takes sacrifice. You give up something in return to receive something. We give up our time and energy and we receive that increase. You know? So like it. I'm gonna get one more precept. I'm about to close. I ain't tend to go too long. Just something quicker through the spirit. Are you willing to sacrifice? We gotta be willing. Okay, meaning without force. You should have the desire to give up certain things in order to receive that increase from the Lord, and the ultimate increase is salvation. Whether it even takes for you to give up your own life, our own lives. Revelation chapter 12. This is speaking of the elect. A characteristic, the spirit that the elect will be in. Revelation chapter 12, verse 11. They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb. This is speaking of the victory that the elect will receive over Esau, Edom, and his system. Because he's going to come down with great wrath, throw brothers in the concentration camps and things of that nature. But the victory is still in the hands of the elect via Yahweh Shah. Because he won, so they will win. You know, Lord willing, we part of that number. It says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, okay, by Yahweh Shah's sacrifice. That's what opened up the chance for a victory. And by the word of their testimony, the same word we push, the same word that we sacrifice it for, separating ourselves from people for, by the word of the testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Okay, they loved not their lives unto the death. Meaning they was willing to give up certain things because they wasn't attached to it. They didn't have desire for those things. They true desires for the kingdom of heaven to be established underneath Yahweh Shah, okay? Because we know everything we see is temporal. You know, on top of that, the whole world lies in wickedness, as it says in 1 John the 5th chapter, you know? Which is why we must be willing to give up whatever it is, you know? Apostle Paul said, I count all things but dung. The things that it may seem like we do have in our possession, we got to count it as nothing in order to win Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, you know. Lord willing, this was edifying. Closing, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chakudash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, the great millstone, who will teach where I learned this truth from. Peace, mercy, and blessings to the hopeful elect that believe in this truth and sincerity. Till next time I say, Kwam Yashala, Wamawath, Lababor, Shalom.